going in this direction. We're going to spend a lot of time going from a log to an exponent, going this way. Later in the chapter, we're going to go the opposite way. But today, all our problems are going to have the word log in it. So that's how you know it's in log form. It's got the word log. So let's look at number 1. Example 1a. So what this is asking is, so today I'm going to ask what part is missing. So it's in log form. How do you know it's in log form? It says the word log, yeah. What part is it missing? The base, the answer, or the exponent? The exponent, right? That's the missing part. That's the missing part here. So we got to find the exponent. To do that, I'm going to change it to an exponent form. Okay? So the 7 is down in the base, right? So 7 goes here. Next comes the exponent. That's the part we don't know. And the answer is 49. So what we have to do is figure out 7 to what power makes 49? What power would I give 7 to make 49? 2, right? 7 squared, right? 7 squared is 49. So the answer is 2, because 7 squared equals 49. You notice all of the questions today have sentence frames, because it's important that you understand why the answer is what it is, okay? Especially for a log, because you've never seen it before, because today's the first day, okay? All right, here we go. B, which part is missing? The base, the answer, or the exponent? The exponent. So this part is missing here. So I'm going to change it to an exponent. The base is 2. Exponent we don't know. Answer is 32. So now go to your calculators. What power would I give 2 to make it 32? 2 to what power? 2 to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. What power would I give it? Not the fourth power, you're close. Fifth power, yeah. Fifth power. 2 to the fifth power equals 32. So what is the missing exponent? 5. Why is that the answer? Because 2 to the fifth equals 32. That's logs. Okay? Even though it says log a lot today, we'll really be doing these. We're really doing all of these, the rules of exponents. All of these are going to come back big time this chapter, because that's all a log is. It's an exponent with parts moved around. Okay? Before you go to the next problem, I'm going to show you a little trick. So when I first started teaching this, I just used the color code system. You know, the color, this one over here, this one over here. If that works for you, use it. It works. But then a teacher showed me this a few years ago. They said, hey, if you want to change it from a log to an exponent, use the loop trick. So this is the loop trick. So watch what I do. I'll do this on a few other problems, but I want you to watch it first. So you start with the base. So you start here. And then I go to the exponent. And then I loop around to get to the answer. And then when I loop around, I rewrite it. So what did I hit first? I hit the base first, right? What did I hit second? The exponent. And then I ended with the answer. Okay? It's an easier way of going from over here, log, to over here, exponent. Okay, I'll show you on the next problem. If it helps, great. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. All right, so let's look at 1C, 1C now. Which part is missing? The exponent again. So this is how I'm going to use the loop trick. I'm going to say 4. We start at 4. 4 to what power? Equals 164. 1 over 64. That's the question. Go to your calculators. What power am I going to give 4 to make 1 over 64? What power am I going to give 4 to make 1 over 64? So it's going to be a negative power. It's definitely going to be negative. How do we know it's negative? What is the giveaway that to go from 4 to 64, it has to be negative? It goes down, right? It goes down low, right? Okay, so it has the negative. And then how do I get up to 64? Power of 3. So that's why it's negative 3 power. That right there is the hardest thing I find students struggle with. This one right here, this question right here, something like this. Because they don't remember their rules, right? When do we have a negative? Well, I have a negative when I either want to move up or move down. I want to move down. I don't want to be up here where 4 is. I want to move down to underneath, right? So it needs a negative. When I've been grading your part 1s, that's where I've seen a lot of mistakes happen, is that idea there. Not remembering that negative power moves down. I can't tell you how many times I saw this. Negative, they don't even move it down, they just change it to that. I saw that a lot, okay? That doesn't mean, that negative power doesn't mean a negative number. It means move to the ground and make it positive. And then what happens when you go 4 times 4 times 4? You get 64, right? So the missing power is going to be negative 3. Why is it the answer? Because 4 to the negative 3 equals 1 over 64. Not negative 12, it makes 1 over 64. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's do the one right next to it. Missing a power again. So it's 27 to what power makes 1/3? So 27 to what power makes 1/3? That's what it's asking. 27 to what power makes 1/3? Again, this isn't a question from this chapter. This is a last chapter question. How do I make 27 into 1/3? What do I have to do? Well, is it going to be positive or negative? Let's start there. Is it going to be positive or negative power? It's got to be negative because 27 needs to move down to the ground, right? So 27 is going to be a negative power. And then do I want to go up? Do I want to make 27 bigger or do I want to make 27 smaller? Smaller, right? So I'm not going to give it a power like -1, -2, -3, -4. I'm going to give it a fraction power. So what I'm asking is, what root do I want 27 to make 3? which root do I want? Which root do I want to make 27 into 3?
9.
Not 9, you're close. It's not going to be square root because these are all the square root numbers over here, and 27's not on that list. What? So you just go to your calculator. Remember the root button? You used it a lot last chapter. Is paste right underneath OK? Yeah, so it's going to be the third power, right? The third power. Or sorry, the third root. The third root of 27. So it's negative because I want it to go down. How do I write third root as a power? I can't write -3 because that means to the third power. So how do I write the third root as a power? 1 over 3. 1 over 3. Okay? 1 over 3. Just like square root means 1/2. Right? Square root means 1/2. Third root means 1/3. So 27 to the -1/3 is going to make 1 over 9. So what is my answer? -1/3, because 27 to the -1/3 equals 1/9. That's where students struggle. Has nothing to do with log. What's the missing power? Right? How do I know? Because that part 1, there's a huge difference between part 1 of the test and part 2 of the test. Part 1 of the test was all of these guys. That's where the lower scores were. Part 2, you guys, it's easy to grade because, it's just a lot of +4s, right? But the rules of exponents is where, not everyone, but where the low scores were, if there were low scores, were over here, right? Knowing when do I add powers? When do I multiply powers? Those things, right? Those things, okay? Which is what this is all about, okay? All right, so let's go to E now. Okay, so let's rewrite it. First thing, rewrite it. 128 to what power makes 2? What power am I going to give 128 to turn it into 2? What power do I give 128 to make it 2? Is it going to be a negative power? No, because I don't need to move it down to the ground, right? 2 doesn't have a fraction. So it's not going to be negative. Is it going to be like 1? Is it going to be a whole number? Do I want to make it bigger? No, I want to make it smaller. So what do? If I want to make a number smaller with a power, give it a root. What root am I going to give it to get 2? 7. It's the 7th root. It's the 7th root. So how do I write 7th root? What power is 7th root? 1 over 7. Just like 1/2 is square root, 7th root is 1/7. So the answer is 1/7, because 128 to the 1/7 equals 2. Okay. Letter F. Again, we're missing the exponent. Missing the exponent. Okay. So 5 to what power makes the square root of 5? What power would I give to make a square root? Because that's all that is, right? That's just a square root of 5. What power do I give a number to make it a square root? What power do I give something to make a square root? Well, 5 squared is 25. That's not 25. So 2 power would be 25. Yeah, it's right here, half, right? Isn't half a square root? Half. So the missing power is 1/2 because 5 to the 1/2 just means the square root of 5. That's all it means. Square root means 1/2. Third root means 1/3. Fourth root means 1/4. Seventh root means 1/7. That's all it is. Okay? And that's all, like I said, that's all last chapter stuff. Okay? Okay, so we haven't used the log button on your calculator. Why not? Because every time you push the log button on your calculator, it only gives you one choice for a base. What choice is that? 10, right? So what if it has no base? What if they give you no base? It's called a common log. A common log, so the LOG button on your calculator just means base of 10. Just means base of 10. So what I want you to do, use your calculator to answer A, B, and C. Use your calculator to answer A, B, and C. All you got to do is plug in, all you got to do is hit that magic button. What do you get when you put log 100 in? What do you get? 2. Because 10 to the second power is 100. What do you get when you put log of 1 over 100? You get negative 2. Because log, oops, not log. Because 10 to the negative 2 power equals that. What do you get when you put log 1? 0, because 10 to the 0 power equals 1. Anything to the 0 power equals 1, right? Well, what do they all have in common? What do all of these have in common? They all have the same base, 10, right? Because they're base 10. Your calculator only works in base 10. So your calculator, so if you have a question, so the only time you can really use the log button is when you have a base 10, okay? So the calculator is not going to be able to do the work for you unless it's like one of these guys. But you can use your calculator, like we've used our calculator to do these, right? We used our calculator to do these, but it's not as easy as just hitting the log button, okay? All right, okay. Let's do the last group of problems. Okay, number 3. What part's missing? Exponent. Okay, so let's rewrite it. First thing is rewrite it. So it should be 7 to what power equals 343. That's what it should say. So what power, what missing power? Use your calculator. What's the missing power? What's the missing power? What power would give 7 to make 343? 3, yeah. 7 to the third power. The missing power is 3, because 7 to the third power equals 343. Okay. Letter B, what's the missing part? The base. So we haven't seen that one yet. So x to the second power equals 36. The base is missing. So how do we solve that one? Square root. Square root. What's the square root of 36? 6. So the answer is 6 because 6 squared equals 36. Okay, next one, C, which part is missing? The answer. When the answer is missing, these are probably the easiest because it's just 7 to the third power equals what number? 343. You just put it in your calculator. In this case, you don't have to because we just saw this problem. But yeah, these are the easiest ones. When the answer is missing, that's the nice time because you just put it in your calculator. Letter D, the base is missing again. We have the base missing again. So we have x to the third power equals 8. So do I find square root of both sides? No, because this is not a square root. It's a cube. So you find the third root. So go to your calculator. What's the third root of 8? 2. Okay. Last 2. So if you know what you're doing with logs, these go pretty fast. These are pretty fast because it's just what part's missing. Okay? The process goes pretty fast if you understand, like, oh, what part's missing. So this one, E, the answer is missing. Okay? 1/5 to the negative 3 power equals what? So yeah, you just use your calculator and it's 125. It's 125 because 1/5 to the negative 3 power equals 125. Negative power means move up or down. Well, 5's on the ground, so it's got to move up. And then you just do third power, 125. Okay, last one. This one we're missing a power. 7 to what power makes negative 49? So this is what I saw on the test as well. I saw this. 7 to the negative 2 power makes, some people put negative 14, or some people put negative 49. Are any of those true? No, right? Negative powers do not make negative numbers. Negative powers mean you either take the elevator up or the elevator down. That's what that means. Okay? So none of those are correct. Is there a number, though, I can put up there that would make negative 49? Is there a number? No, I don't think there is. Because the power doesn't control positives or negatives. Powers don't control positives or negatives. Okay? So there is no solution. We just say the answer is no solution. Because there isn't a power or exponent that would equal negative 49. Just not possible. There's no power that would make negative 49. 2 makes positive 49, but these aren't true. Okay? Okay, so we got two there's 2 short exit tickets, and then we're done. Okay, 2 short exit tickets. So on your exit ticket slip, one side put your name, the other side you're going to do the work. Okay?
Can I see D?
Okay.
Wait, so how is the answer 2? Oh, no.
Because 2 to the 3rd power equals 8. 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. All right.